What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I don't know why people say that. Why do people say that? Welcome back to another video? I know that I am saying it, but the thing that's weird is like I'm not welcoming you to a blog, right? I'm not welcoming you to a dinner. Like, everyone knows that it's a video. Saying welcome back to another video is completely redundant. Everyone knows. Anyway. Oh, thank you. I want to give a quick shout out. So I made a promise, so I have to fulfill it. You earned it. Here are 5 consecutive claps. Hang on. I promised, and I fulfill my promises. That was because I tweeted on Twitter, which is a place where I tend to tweet, that if the VGC Stats, which is an account that does really, really good work for the community, gathers every tournament that gives CP, or at least, I think every tournament that gives CP. It might be only regionals and internationals, but basically, it's an incredible resource for the VGC community run by Professor Shroomish, and I basically said, like, hey, if we get 10,000, they were at like 9,500, I think, followers on Twitter, and I said, hey, if they get up to 10,000, I'll clap 5 times. So they got up to 10,000 by the end of the day, so now I clapped, and anyway, you guys don't care about that probably. So, Copperajah. This is a Pokemon that's going to be really good. That is really good, frankly. If we're going to be honest with ourselves and with each other, this Pokemon's very good. I really like it. I really like the design. I really like a lot of things about this Pokemon, so let's just go through it. I really like the French name, Copperajah. Copperajah, first of all, good name, in my opinion. Typing is pure steel, which is cool. Ability, sheer force, and heavy metal. So, heavy metal, I think, in a metagame with Dynamax is not great because you cannot use weight-based attacks on Dynamax Pokemon, and so therefore I'm just going to stay away from using them personally. It actually holds a Lightning Tail. I didn't know that. It has a Gigantamax form, which we will talk about. Let's talk about the stats, because the stats are really interesting. It has really high base HP, which is great. Very good base attack. 130 base attack is very, very strong. That's as strong as Gengar's special attack, for example. So it's very, very strong. It's only slightly stronger than Executor, which is very strong. So here's where things get interesting. Really poor defenses. 69 defense. 69 special defense, okay? Like, really low defenses. However, the HP stat is massive, so it's this kind of weird... This happens to Pokemon sometimes. Like, Pokemon with really high HP bases tend to have really low defenses. Special attack doesn't matter, we're not using it, and the speed is very low, which for a Pokemon like Copperajah is actually really good. So, just from the stats, we can tell a couple things about how this Pokemon is probably going to be used. What we know is that it's most likely going to serve as a sweeper on a Trick Room team. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but the low base speed and the high base attack, coupled with this metagame's general lack of Intimidate being less prevalent, and in my opinion, not essential for the first time since 2012. For all of those reasons, I personally believe that Copperajah is going to be very good in a Trick Room team. Yeah, so the stats are good. Frankly, the stats are very good. You have the low defenses make this Pokemon not broken in my opinion, but it is balanced and good and strong in my opinion. So we'll talk about the Gigantamax form in a little bit. Let's go through the moves. Heavy Slam makes sense. This Pokemon weight is obviously a theme with heavy metal, and it's a steel type, so it gets the steel type attack that is based on weight, which is cool. Going through the moves, we see some interesting things right away. So the first few things we see here are these 4 moves, which are enough. You could run a full set with just these moves on your own. Maybe you want to. You could do that. Iron Head. Base 80 power. With sheer force, it's boosted. Play Rough, also boosted by sheer force. Now, most Steel-type Pokemon do not learn a Fairy-type move. Most Steel-type Pokemon do not learn the best Fairy-type move in the game if you're a physical attacker. Play Rough is very good. It allows Copperajah to hit Fighting types, and also Dark types, and also Dragon types. Play Rough is just it's a very, very good move, minus the low accuracy, or the lower accuracy than I would like. And the ability, frankly, to hit Fighting types is pretty massive. The other interesting thing about Play Rough is that it allows Copperajah to passively support its partners against Dragon-type attacks with Dynamax. So if you're in a situation where, let's say we're in Trick Room, I have Copperajah and Dracovish, and my opponent has a Dracovish, or let's say my opponent has Hydreigon, and for some reason I don't want to... Well, that's not really a great scenario, but there are scenarios where you can set Misty Terrain to protect your teammate from Dragon-type attacks. We're going to talk more about Misty Terrain in a little bit as well, because there's more uses for that than might seem apparent. But yeah, high horsepower. Lots of things get high horsepower this generation, but it's a very good attack. It's probably the best ground-type attack in VGC at the moment. And superpower, which is an amazing fighting-type attack. And all 4 of these have So ground and steel, when you're talking about dynamite, when you're thinking about Pokemon in this metagame, I want you to keep an eye out for ground type attacks and steel type attacks. The reason being, ground and steel are the attacks that raise your defenses, which is very valuable, in my opinion. So Copperajah's low defenses are we can make up for them in the way that we train it, but we can also make up for it in the attacks that we give it. So if we boost our defense with Iron Head or special defense with high horsepower, that makes Copperajah much more threatening. So let's move on. Superpower boosting attack is also really nice. Let's go through the rest of the moves. Rock Slide for rock type coverage. We're starting to see more fighting type moves, but we haven't seen anything better than Superpower. Bulldoze and Brutal Swing and Snarl are all interesting, but I don't think you're going to use them most of the time. Earthquake and singles. Outrage is a dragon type coverage attack. Again, not as useful in doubles. Zen Headbutt for good psychic coverage if you don't want to run Play Rough, or if you want to hit poison types as well. Stone Edge is an even stronger rock type move, though less accurate. Heat Crash for Fire Stab, although again this is a weight-based move, so it's not amazing. Play Rough, high horsepower. Body Press, not amazing here. And then gets a couple more moves like Curse and Swagger and Whirlwind. So where does that... Well, okay, and then let's talk about Giganta Grimmsnarl, or Giganta Copperajah before we move on. Cool design. The way Giganta Copperajah works is it has a steel type attack that sets the steel equivalent of Stealth Rock. Steel Rock. It's the only way you can get this hazard up on the field. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Let's move on. So these are the sets that I came up with. Make sure you guys can see that. Yep. So this is the first set. I'll just walk you through this. This is a Pokemon that, because of its HP stat being high and its defenses being low, you really shouldn't be doing 252, 252. So let's go ahead and start like this. Sorry, I didn't overwrite it. Okay, no, I didn't. Okay, so this set is intended to be a Trick Room Sweeper. In terms of the moves, I chose Iron Head, Play Rough, and Power Whip. Other options: Superpower, like I mentioned, Stone Edge, high horsepower. Those are all really good moves to add as well. These are just like kind of catch-all moves in my opinion. Power Whip for the water types and the ground types, Play Rough for the dragon and the fighting types, and then Iron Head for stab. That's why I chose these. I actually don't know if I heard a rumor that Life Orb, the way that it used to work is if you had Life Orb and you used if you used a move that would activate Sheer Force, then and you held a Life Orb, then you wouldn't take Life Orb damage. I heard a rumor that that was changed. I do not know, but regardless, Life Orb is a really good item for Copperajah, which is why I included it. So yeah, let's go through some of the calcs with this, because this is what I was calcing for. So we pull Gastrodon in the calc. The first thing I EV for was Gastrodon with Earth Power and a Modest Nature. You always live Gastrodon to Earth Power, which is nice. And then you have a pretty good chance to live that and a turn of Life Orb damage as well. The interesting thing is that you OHKO Gastrodon through Rindoberry, which also means you OHKO it like through Dynamax and no Rindoberry, which is ridiculous. Of course, you'll probably miss Power Whip, but you could always Dynamax if you wanted to. So like even something like this, you OHKO max HP, max defense, not boosting Nature Gastrodon. Even with Bold, you have a chance. So Power Up is very, very strong. If it's maxed, even without max, it's very strong. This is on max HP, max defense Gastrodon, so it does a ton of damage. This is, and Gastrodon is really common right now, so that's why I think that's good. Just for posterity's sake, we can see that Play Rough against Dracovish is an OHKO, which is very nice for a Steel type Pokemon. That's very good. That's part of the reason I chose these moves. I also EV for Tyranitar Superpower. Low Kick is 120 base power here, so yeah. Again, you have a decent chance to survive Low Kick, Superpower plus a turn of Life Orb, and then you do OHKO in return of Iron Head, or even Play Rough. For all your moves OHKO, so Tyranitar cannot switch in safely. One of the weaknesses of this set is Excadrill. So, yeah, one of the weaknesses of the set is Excadrill. You do not live high horsepower, but it takes a lot of investment, and you also cannot OHKO in return. Power Whip does a lot of damage, but you cannot OHKO in return. If you needed to OHKO, you could Dynamax and have a decent shot at it, but yeah, that's a weakness of this set. But again, without running a ground type coverage move, I think it's okay. Next up, we have the Assault Vest set. So I'm actually pretty proud of this set. Let's go ahead and pull it up as long as we're an Excadrill anyway. This is the amount of EVs you need to survive high horsepower from Adamant Excadrill. And you can, even without max attack investment, you do KO in return with Superpower. So the extra move that I added was Superpower. You could also run high horsepower, although the reason I didn't run high horsepower was because, as I will show you, it doesn't KO. The difference, the 20 base power difference makes a big difference, basically. 25 base power difference makes a big difference. And so, yeah, for that reason, I've chosen these moves. Same thing as before, you want the coverage to hit Gastrodon. I think you could drop Play Rough on this set if you wanted, although I really do like being able to hit fighting types. Like, Copperajah on both sets does not OHKO Conkeldurr, I don't believe. Actually, well, let's actually see, because it's going to do a lot. So, Play Rough actually... Okay, so Play Rough Oko's max HP Conkeldurr, which is ridiculous a good chunk of the time. And you can always Dynamax if you... Whoops, wrong one. You can always Dynamax as well. Let's see. Yeah, so you don't... The Assault Visage does an Oko Conkeldurr, so if you wanted to, you could probably run a Rock move over this. To hit Pokemon like... I don't know, like Braviary, I suppose. Yeah, you can run a Rock move. You can run Stone Edge over Play Rough if you wanted. You could drop Power Whip if you wanted, though I personally like it a lot on this set. So yeah, basically the moves are kind of variable. This set, like I mentioned, I EV'd specifically for Excadrill's high horsepower. This set always lives Excadrill high horsepower. It also lives the Gastrodon attacks, which is the other strong special ground type that I was looking at. Let's do Earth Power, and then let's make that Dynamax, and let's see. So you actually live maxed Gastrodon Earth Power, and you do not Oko in return with Power Whip, but you do a good chunk of damage, and if you really need to get the Oko, you at least have a chance of Power Whip, but just being able to survive is pretty nice. You can kind of see the lack of, well, how the lack of attack investment and how the lack of Life Orb changes things a bit, because as we saw, the other one was doing much more damage, but yeah, that's okay. Oh wait, that was versus Dynamax Gastrodon. I'm sorry. Okay, I knew something was wrong. Yeah. So Power Whip actually Oko's non-Rindo Gastrodon and even does a good chunk to Rindo Gastrodon, as you can see here. We can just do Dynamax for the same effect. So if you chip it at all or run Helping Hand or anything, that thing's gone. Yeah, I think there's a chance you might want more Special Bulk on Copperajah. So maybe pairing Copperajah with like, geez, I don't know, like Intimidate Pokemon and then or Reflect from Grimmsnarl and then putting more in Special Defense could be good. That's definitely an option, but yeah. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about with Play Rough. So there is one more thing that you can do with Play Rough. That is, if you use Play Rough, let's say you Dynamax, you use Play Rough, and you set Misty Terrain, then what you can do is, you can go ahead and start, like, using Swagger on yourself. So Play Rough is good because it protects Copperajah from Will-O-Wisp. So if you have Trick 'em Up, they have a Rotom. Let's say they have Rotom Lawnmower form, right? Or like a Will-O-Wisp Pokemon that you're afraid of, right? You can Dynamax and use Play Rough to protect your team from Will-O-Wisp, which is very, very good. You can also protect yourself from Confusion. So the reason why I don't have Swagger, why I didn't talk about Swagger sooner, because Swagger gives you +2 in the attack stat but confuses you. Misty Terrain protects your Pokemon from being confused. So among other status moves, if they're touching the ground. So the reason I didn't mention that sooner is that I don't like Swagger. I used it in 2017 a good bit. I had Misty Terrain plus Swagger team. Swagger being 85% accurate. I lost games because of Swagger. I don't think I lost that tournament, but I definitely lost games because of it, and it was a move that I never really wanted to use again. So my personal bias says Swagger is very threatened, is extremely good when it hits. When it doesn't hit, it's not worth your time, and so for that reason, I think I'm not personally going to mess around with Swagger, but if you want to do it, go for it. The last set is the same as the first set with Superpower over Play Rough. I personally am of the opinion that Gigantamax Copperajah is going to be worse than regular Dynamax Copperajah because the defense boost that Iron Head gives to you and your partner in doubles is much better than the Steel-type Stealth Rock that it gives you well, if you're Gigantamaxed. However, I did feel like I should talk about it because I know people are interested in it, and there's a chance that I am wrong. The Steel-type Stealth Rock as an attack is nice. I will say that. I feel like if you're going to go super offensive with your team, I can see you justifying that a little bit. The reason I don't think it's that good is because, like, it's going to be, like, not that much chip damage at the end of the game, or at the end of the... Like, this isn't a very switch-heavy metagame at the moment, and so, like, Steel-type Stealth Rock basically gives you, like, a little bit extra damage, like tiny extra bits of damage, versus a defense boost could let you survive for another turn or make your Pokemon harder to KO. So for that reason, I don't think it's very good. However, there are certain scenarios and maybe certain team compositions that benefit from this. One of the big advantage of the Steel-type Stealth Rock is that you break Focus Sash. So Focus Sash, if you're running a Trick Room team, can be really problematic, right? You don't want Pokemon surviving for multiple turns. And so something that I know that I run into is I will bring my Excadrill in the back with Focus Sash. I don't know if other players are doing this as well, but setting a Steel-type Stealth Rock up means that anything in the back you can guarantee does not have... it doesn't have Focus Sash. You can also get chip damage on things like we mentioned earlier. Well, Gastrodon's not a great example because it's dying anyway, but, like, yeah, there are some Pokemon where, like, the little bit of chip can help. For example, actually, you know what's a good example? Braviary. Let's go back to the Life Orb Copperajah set. let's put in Dynamaxed Ironhead, and let's go ahead and see how much it does to Braviary. Or maybe just regular Ironhead. So Dynamaxed Ironhead does KO, but regular Ironhead does not. However, if we have Stealth, well, Stealth Rock's kind of a bad example, but let's say it's at 87.5%, okay? Let's just give it 88%, right? Now it's a guaranteed OHKO. So the chip damage can help a little bit for some Pokemon that are neutral. I wonder how much Moxie Gyarados takes from Power Whip. I'm just gonna cancel that Intimidate here. So for example, well, Player Ref is actually stronger, that's right. Oh, this is Dynamax, that's why Power Whip is stronger. So, yeah, so, like, Gyarados is a bad example, but yeah, like, basically, the chip can matter at sometimes, right? The chip sometimes matters. So, yeah. Basically, I don't think Dynamax Copperajah is that good, personally. Gigantamax Copperajah is that good, but I do feel like I know people are going to want to use it, so this is how I would use it. I would stick with the Life Orb set. I would use this on an offensive team that really just wanted to set Trick Room up and try and win in four turns from there. That's my best bet for it, for you guys. Steel is good typing, Steel is good coverage. If your opponent is super effective weak Pokemon, Steel weak Pokemon, then I would say maybe, right? Maybe it's worth it in that instance, but the defense boost is just so nice, especially on a frail Pokemon like Copperajah. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. I hope you found this interesting. I had a lot of fun making this guide. Like, my last guide was Obstagoon, and this one is Copperajah, and, like, I really like these Pokemon, and this makes me super excited to use them. So, yeah, if you like this video, please make sure to leave a like. Also, please make sure to tell me what you want to see next in the description down below. Some of my ideas are, like, Pincurchin. I'm thinking about doing the starters, but I'm thinking about holding off on them. I have a whole list of things that I'm thinking about doing next. So, yeah, I have more Pokemon that I'm considering, but, yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and leave a like if you like this video, and if you didn't like the video but you like me, you can leave a like as well. And, yeah, I'll see you guys for the next video, which, actually, I think you guys are gonna like today's video, this afternoon's video. I know this isn't gonna be relevant after the 8 hours between when I post this video and when I post the next video, but keep your eyes on it. It's a good one. Actually, the next week is going to be really, really good. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.